So the project that I will share with you was conducted in Texas, and it was about supporting primary Latino children to engage and learn and develop digital literacy learning while supporting their bilingualism and their first language especially. And I have this video to share with you. So basically what you saw there was a group of 16 Latino second and third grade bilingual children in a public elementary school. And they were being supported by my students at the reading undergraduate course. So I pair my reading undergraduate bilingual teacher candidates with one child. So 2 teacher candidates per child. One teacher candidate met on Wednesday with the child, and the other teacher candidate met on Thursday. So the kids had 2 days of this after-school program. We started the program, and it was a 1-year-long project. We started the program by reading a piece of Latino children's literature, and then move on to the computer classroom to engage with online games and online resources. The inspiration for this after-school program was the project of La Casa Mágica that Olga Vázquez developed in California, which developed as a bilingual version of the fifth dimension that Michael Cole developed in California. So the kids started with the first game, which was Maya and Miguel, that you will hear about, then move on to Handful, Neopets, Globster, etc. I selected the games. Well, first they were free because I did this without resources. And, but I had one criteria, and that criteria was that the games would involve the children in problem solving and could engage them with the language of certain domains, be this the domain of food or different types of jobs, but especially the problem solving aspect. Something about this game is that many of these games have a storyline, as many good video games. And in that storyline, JMG has identified 4 aspects. One, the storyline depends on the author's choices, in this case, the game designers. It also depends on how the player made decisions and the order in which things happen within the game. The actions and the order of actions also depend on the gamer. And last, the imaginative projection about the character's plot and world of the story is a big element. We also use culturally specific children's literature. And I wanted to use specifically Latino children's literature with these kids for 2 reasons. One, because my teacher candidates, who were all bilingual and 99% Latinas, they didn't know the literature. And so I said, okay, we need to create a context here where the children can be exposed to culturally relevant texts, where some elements of their lives can be brought to the context of the education. We know that there is no one book that can represent a culture. So we need to be clear that no one book can represent a culture, that Latino culture is multidimensional, and that's why we need to have a balanced collection of children's literature. A collection in which you have, okay, characters that are learning English, but where you have characters that are in a different situation, where you have professional characters, others working in private, you know, the whole balance. Because if we don't have a good balanced collection, the likeliness of falling into stereotype is high if you have few samples of that culture. So why a focus on digital literacies, and why to support the native language? Because all the program I wanted for it to be developed in Spanish. Also because the teacher candidates, some of them, most of them were English dominant really. and they were preparing to become bilingual teachers, so I wanted for them to have more exposure with Spanish, but also for the children. And then, okay, I can see this. Yes, well, basically, why digital literacy? Because we know that although access to technology is really increasing, there are still differences in how families engage with that and in access to that. So we wanted for these children to be able to be exposed to that. Let me make a change here, sorry, because I don't see. Then, for some teachers, even if they are young, and it was a surprise for me, because these were all young teacher candidates, they were not so much into the digital literacy practices, and sometimes the children knew more than them. And so many teachers seem to, benefit if they have some kind of exposure to that. So it was an opportunity also for the teacher candidates. And we know that standardization and the pressure with tests and things really leave little space for teachers to do creative things and to do more 21st century literacy practices, because of the focus on test prep. And the emphasis in Spanish is because we know that actually and unfortunately many bilingual learners end up being monolingual. Many Latino kids end up at an elementary being monolingual. That's why bilingual education is so important. Kids learn to read the environment. They start developing some values and beliefs about what is the language that counts in this country. And some of them, they just want to be accepted. They just want to have peers. And they develop what I have called, and Professor Malave, embryonic ideological discourses. So even with little kids, you can see that they are already developing some ideological discourses, even if they are not well formed. This whole work is based on the importance of approaching learning as socially mediated. A cognitive perspective of learning and learning language doesn't work by itself anymore, because learning is not something that happens in the head, inside the head. Learning is socially mediated, and especially language learning develops as a complex adaptive system. And it depends, including the learning of the grammar, the learning of the different components of language, on localized practices and interactions. So the belief that you can teach a language by starting with the little pieces, and that the kids will move on and then develop mastery of the language, that doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Language is learned through social interaction and participation in practices. And I envision the after school as a context where the kids will be immersed in language use and interactions. And so, yes, these are second language theories that are challenging the common belief of how the second language is learned. And so basically the main question was, in what ways this computer-mediated environment will support Latino children's learning, and how would they participate? Would there be shifts in participation? Just an idea, we had 16 meetings, and then there you have the different games that we used. It was not 16 meetings, 16 weeks. It was a whole year. Yes, we did the qualitative analysis, so I will be briefly with that. But there was a ton of data, because each teacher candidate at the end of the session wrote a reflection on what happened in the session. So I had hundreds of keep watching reports. And then, of course, we went through the data first to relate the general process of identifying patterns and counter evidence to those patterns, and then to the right, once we decided in case studies, then contrasting case studies, etc.